it's very important to learn. It's important to learn because if you don't keep learning, you get passed up by people who do. And the only time that it's ever fucking cool to stop learning is when you...
Andy, where do you draw the line between learning advanced skills such as accounting, marketing, e-com versus hiring it in or out of your business?
I think that if you are operating a business and you think you're going to become expert level proficient at every single task or skill that you need, you're delusional. It's not going to happen. All right. Is it important to learn? Yeah, it's very important to learn. It's important to learn because if you don't keep learning, you get passed up by people who do. And the only time that it's ever fucking cool to stop learning is when you fucking die. All right. That's the first thing you need to understand. So always be learning should be a fundamental core value of your being. It's actually a core value of every single company that I'm involved in. It's a must. You have to always be getting better. But dude, in terms of like leading a brand or building a company or this or that, bro, you should surround yourself with people who are much, much, much more skilled than you at every single thing that you need. Like, bro, I want my executives to be better executives than me. I want them to be smarter than me. I want them to understand more than me. I want them to know how to solve problems better than me. I want them dedicated more than me. I want them to be better literally across the board. I want them to be in better shape than me. I want them to be a bigger fucking killer than me. I want them to be everything better. Because, dude, if you hire in the skill set, you, first of all, it frees up bandwidth for you to create. All right, that's a big deal. A lot of you guys try to learn every single task that there is to learn, and you're not thinking that, you know, there's a difference between working in the business and on the business. And your job as the creator of the brand or the business or the movement or the organization or whatever it is for you to be saying, okay, this is where we're going to go. This is how we're going to do it. And then to look at your team and say, what do you guys think? And they're going to break it down and they're going to say, okay, we do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And then, by the way, they got to go do it. So in terms of having the best people around you, I think a lot of people hold themselves up with that because they're afraid of having people that are better than them around them.
Ego.
I want every single person I want every one of my friends to be better than me. I want every fucking person that works for me to be better than me. It's something. And that's the attitude you have to build a great organization. It just is. It has to come from a place of humility. I think it's good for someone to understand a fundamental base understanding of these skill sets, right? Like I can walk into my marketing department and I understand a lot of shit. All right. But I don't understand the shit they understand. Okay. I can walk into our sales team and I know how to sell shit. I'm pretty good at selling shit, but these guys are fucking selling our shit really fucking good. So I'm going to learn some things from them. And I think having a fundamental base understanding is important because it allows you to create better. Okay. But it also allows you to understand when people are full of shit. Okay. Like you're going to get people in that are pretty good. Like I used to run into this deal with media people, right? People will come in and they'd be like, oh, it fucking takes 17 hours to make this video. Like, it doesn't take 17 hours to make a fucking video, bro. I made a video on my phone with some fucking words on it. That shit took 30 seconds.
Right.
All right. So you start to get taken advantage of whenever you don't have a baseline understanding of the skill set. So I think there's a line. And also, I think it depends on where you are in the journey. I think, you know, when you're young in the journey, like dude, when I was just starting out, I had to fucking do everything. So I had to know everything.
You couldn't afford it.
I couldn't afford to hire people.
Yeah.
So I had to learn the skill sets. And so then it becomes, okay, what skill sets are going to produce the most value and are the most important? And those skill sets are always going to be the exact same skill sets. It's going to be leadership, sales. It's going to be sales and management / leadership. Like those two, if you can't organize a team, you can't do shit. If you can't sell anything, you also can't do shit. And those are two skills you should never compromise on. Every single one of you should learn those skills all the way fucking to the maximum of your abilities. And then let the other skill sets, the e-coms, the video production, the sales training, all these things, you hire in people to help with those things. You keep an eye on it, but then they deliver what they're skilled at. I think a lot of people fuck themselves because they think that if they hand it over to someone, that person is going to be so much better than them that they're going to lose the respect of their team. When in reality, if you have a great team, they're actually going to respect you more for putting the right person in the right position.
I love that, man.
I agree with all of these things.
Huh? Yeah.
I agree with everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 3 fundamental skills. You got to know how to sell shit. You got to know how to build shit. You got to know how to build people.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to have the thing to sell. You got to figure out the people to sell to, which is sales and marketing. And then you got to be able to stay out of jail, which is all the things like
Well,
HR.
that build people shit, bro, is a big deal, man.
Totally.
I get asked that all the time. I know you do too. Man, where do you find your people? Well, I just go back out on my people tree and I fucking pick them off, right? I got the secret fucking people garden over here and I can fucking go grab them and bring them in here. Bro, you have to become an expert people developer. Sorry. I had to say that.
No,
Yeah.
we agree on this. So here's the thing. So if you were to boil this down to fundamentals, if you only had one skill, which is that you could get other people to do things for you, then you could then say, hey, go build me a business. And fundamentally, that would work. The only problem if that was the only skill you had, it brings up Andy's issue, which is you wouldn't know who's full of shit and who isn't, right? And so the base level of understanding is so that you can just pressure check the fundamentals of the business. Because one thing that has continued to stay true for all the businesses that we've scaled is simple scales, fancy fails. Being advanced just means that you do the basics at scale. You're not doing fancy things. You're not doing complicated things. You're just doing 100 guys on the phones every day following the same 5-step script, right? That is like scale brings complexity on its own. You don't need to insert it, right? So you got to know how to build a product that's good. You got to know how to sell it. And then you got to have people. Now, that being said, those are 3 different skills. In the beginning, you just got to be good enough to start generating cash flow. At that point, you then look at your schedule and say, okay, of these other things that have to happen in the business, which is the cheapest one to replace, right? That takes up the most of my time. And then basically entrepreneurship after that is you continue to trade your time up for the biggest chunk that costs the least to bring in. And you just keep doing that until eventually the only thing that you are doing is inspiring and leading the vision so that you can attract the best people to be on the bus with you.
Dude, and the best part about that, and this is the part very few companies ever get to, is that it's what I said in the first question. When you get it to that level, you're no longer having to weed people out. The culture and the brand becomes self-regulating, meaning if weak people find their way in, the strong people will weed them out automatically because they're not meeting standard. And that will save you. Like, dude, when you get to that level, 90% of your bullshit goes away because that's what 90% of bullshit in small businesses is. You're dealing with people. Dealing with people is the hardest fucking thing ever when it comes time to organize them to move the right way. And so I fucking love all that, bro.
I'm going to throw 2 warning flags out there. One is the early partnership. All right. So a lot of times people bring in a partner early who likes the same stuff as them. They're like, hey, we're best friends. We both like supplements. Let's do supplements together. But you don't have different skill sets. So the only reason to partner is that somebody has a different skill set than you, has more time than you, or has got more money than you.
That's right.
That's it. The only reason to bring somebody in. If you're looking, and right now, hopefully you're listening to this or sending this to your partner, you're like, shit, man, we both kind of had the exact same skill set. Well, one of you's got to, like, I'm not saying you break up as a partnership, but you should delineate who's in charge of what. If you're both selling and both building product and both doing the back, like, eventually it's not going to work.
It's like that Spider-Man.
You're describing my actual story. Okay. There was a real conversation that Chris and I had to have about 2010. And it was this. It was, listen, dude, somebody's got to be the face. Somebody's got to be the operator behind the scenes and take care of these things. And somebody's got to do these things. And it was a fucking 10-minute conversation. And we went. Because everybody's like, where's Chris?
Yeah.
Chris is living a great life, bro. He fucking gets to be a part of all these businesses. He gets to work. And fucking nobody knows who the fuck he is. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. It's amazing. I got the shit end of the deal, bro. All right. So it's funny because you're like literally describing it because you use the example of supplements. And dudes, yeah.
Hey, that's us.
Yeah. I'm like, Alex, tell my story.
And I'll say one thing to relate back to the question, which was, I just want everyone to know, I've actually never paid payroll. Like, I've never been the one who calculated payroll. I think actually maybe a couple of times in my life, like between people, I messed it up. I actually like handed people checks and they were like, that's not how I like wrote out the checks for they're like, is payroll taken out? Like the tag? I was like, I don't know. Man. I was like, this is what I owe you. Right. And like, didn't know how to do payroll. Definitely didn't know how to do accounting. I still don't. So like people might think, oh, Alex is a big investor and he owns, like I know. Thing is like you can value a business with a lot of other things besides a sheet, because here's the thing is the more you learn, the more you realize that people can make anything look real that isn't. So like all I would then be doing is asking, if I pretended to be really good at accounting, I would just find a better criminal who could outsmart me with sheets, and that's not going to be where I'm going to win. And so that's where you have to look at the other person in the eye and be like, is this guy going to fuck me? And I think that's a pattern recognition that just takes time to develop. And then also, does the fundamentals of the business make sense? So to scoot all the way back, do you need to learn accounting? I didn't.
Yeah.
Do you need to learn how to do payroll? It has to happen, but you don't have to like learn it. I mean, during the period of time where I was like between people who were doing that for me, I just like called ADP up and I was like, hey, they're like, we have an online portal. I was like, can you do it over the phone? They're like, we can do it over the phone. Are you from 1980? I was like, I am today. They're like, it was like their old people line. So I like called the tech, like I don't use a computer line. And they were like, all right, well, and then I would just say like, Jeremy H goes, $372.67. They're like, okay. And I was like, and you guys are handling the tax stuff. And they're like, yep. And I was like, all right, Johnny, dude, I did this, right? So like, I didn't know how, I just knew I added up the hours, added up his commissions on sales, and then I just called up ADP and had them do it. So I'm only saying this because like a lot of people like to overcomplicate the fundamentals of business, but like you literally just need to go get a stranger to give you money for the thing that you're going to solve a problem for them. That's it. And then everything else after that, you can find other people to help you out.
And the more that you try to be the person for everything, the less you can do the thing that actually needs to be done, which is getting the strangers to buy your fucking shit. Like, dude, you have to free up that bandwidth, guys, because business is fucking hard. Because there's two kinds of people. There's the kind of person who wants to delegate everything and know nothing. You lose every time because people will steal from you and they will take advantage of you and they will crash your shit. And you can only pretend that for so long. And then there's the kind of person who wants to control everything, and that person gets stuck because they're trying to do all of these things, and they're like, fuck, I got no help. And then they can't even create the vision, and they get passed by someone over here across town who has, found the correct balance here of expert help, but also base level knowledge that allows them to continue to be creative and move forward. And so like, dude, find out where you are in this balance, because if you're too far on one side or too far on the other side, it's instant death.
And
I love that.
One of a term that I like is don't suffer from education procrastination. Like a lot of, like some people are listening to this are like, man, I'm going to start. I just need to learn more about, like you literally need an LLC, a bank account, and a way to process money. And all those things you can do in like an afternoon. And I had these college kids. I don't know if I told you the story. I had dinner with these college kids. A friend of mine has a son, he's like 22, and they were like, they knew me from it. They're like, could you come to dinner? So anyways, I go there, it's 8 guys. They're all like, I'm so excited. I'm going to start entrepreneurship, whatever. And so I didn't see them for 6 months. And then she came back in town with her sons, and it was his birthday. And so I come to the dinner again, and I was like, hey, how's your business going? And he's like, well, I'm getting my LLC started. And I was like, that's not a thing. I was like, that's not a thing.
It's not a 6-month
thing.
I was like,
the form you fill out.
Yeah, I was like, you could do it during this dinner.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like people get stuck in this education procrastination, and it's really that they think that I don't learn accounting and therefore I can't start a business. And they let that be the reason that the real reason that they're not doing it is because they're afraid they're not going to win.
Dude, I also think there's a false understanding that goes back to the fake entrepreneurship culture that you have to like people like to use this language and these big words and like all this stuff that makes them sound important. Let me tell you something, bro. You come to dinner with me and Alex, like we're going to be talking some real basic shit. You guys are going to be like, that's it?
Yeah. Right. Yep, that's it.
That's it, dude. Like,
who wants appetizers?
Yeah, that's right. Stop trying to posture with your language, bro. Just speak in real terms, man. Learn what you got to learn and go fucking do it. It's really not that hard. You guys make it so much harder by trying to posture.
And you only fool people poorer than you.
Yeah.
That's a bit like,
oh, bro, that's a huge thing.
Dude,
because like, dude, when people are up on the mountain that you're trying to climb and you're doing that shit to them, you know what they say? Like, bro, you do that shit to me and Alex, right? You come up and you start telling us all this shit. The minute you fucking walk away, we don't even say anything. We just look at each other. Like it's a look. True or not true?
100, like a million percent. Like, the thing is that the guys who are really in the game, they talk in the simplest of terms.
Right.
So I've got so people struggle with this thing, and I used to struggle with that too. And so then I made this thing because I was solving it for me. And then some other people were like, hey, can you do that for me too? So I started doing it. And then, we started running a couple ads so that we could, get some more customers. And 10 years later, like here we are, we're the #1 IT services company for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how the stories really sound. Not like, So I was looking at my cap table, and I was really looking at how we could leverage the opportunities and synergistic collaborations between cross-departmental training and learning, so that we could further
customer penetration.
Yeah, right.
Bro, I will get the fuck up and walk out. I will get the fuck up. I'll be like, look, dude, this ain't for me. I gotta go. I can't even hear it.
Yeah.
It makes my skin fucking crawl.
Yeah.
And dude, you guys, and we're joking and shit, but be careful not to become that, because dude, it's not palatable for people who are up the journey, because dude, those people that you're trying to impress, they're just regular people just like you, who have gone down the path with some courage and just not quit. And they're not they're smarter than you because they've had more experience than you, but they're not more intelligent than you. So stop trying to pretend that you're something you're not, dude, and just go do some shit, and people will respect it.
Love that, man.